I'm Kimberly LaPrairie, and today I'm going to be presenting on iPads in higher education. It's going to be pretty fast, so don't think you're going to be able to write every one of them down. I promise that I will upload the presentation to SlideShare, and I'll give you a link to it, and also the Delta Center will be sharing that. So here we go. And feel free to yell out and stop me if you have a question. Doesn't bother me at all. So first I start out with how do you decide what tech tools to use and when? And I like to frame everything with Bloom's taxonomy, the revised version, the digital version. And it goes from the very basic, the lower order skills of remembering all the way up to creating. And so that's how I've organized the apps that we're going to talk about today within that framework. Of course, a lot of the apps can go across those levels. So just think about how they would apply in your individual classroom. So to begin, we're going to look at remembering, which is recalling facts, terms, basic concepts, and there's probably a lot of apps that you could come up with for this, basic content knowledge apps. The first one is Know. It's a textbook app, and I'm going to show you these. And then Flashcardlik, PinUltimate, Wunderlist, and iStudies Lite, which you saw the pro version if you came to the opening keynote this morning. So we're going to do a little flipping back and forth here. And some of these may not project, and we'll just move right along. Okay, great. So Know is where your students or you can download textbooks. And for instance, the reason I like Know a little bit better than iBooks is it has some more functionality than iBooks. After it loads. Okay, so for example, this is a biology textbook. And here, it's just like a regular textbook. I can flip my pages. However, just like in iBooks, I can highlight. But I can also, you notice that it popped out a journal over to the side. I know it's kind of small. But if you click on your journal, then you can add a note about that particular piece that you just highlighted. It can be a picture. They're about to have the recording device. You can write, handwritten. You can use text. It also has the glossary like iBooks where you can define words if you don't know what they mean. Then you can also create flashcards right inside your textbook. So that's Know, and you can search textbooks by their ISBN numbers, the author, all of that. And you can also put PDFs in there. So there's lots of functions that you can use that with. Then Flashcardlik is just flashcard app, and it actually works with Quizlet. So if you don't know about Quizlet, Quizlet is a website that you can Google, and you can create flashcards on Quizlet. There's also already flashcards made on Quizlet, or you can create the flashcards within this Flashcardlik. So for example, it's just a very basic flashcard app. We're going to change the, oops. Okay, so for example, very basic, 1+1, and this is created by the student or by you. And so I can see my answer is 2. If I got it right, then I can check it off and it won't come back in that stack of flashcards. And if it's something that I need to remember, I need to come back to, then I can star it as well. And PinUltimate is a handwriting app. And it's not going to project. But trust me, it's a handwriting app, and you can also import pictures and take notes on your pictures. And it's just like a notebook. And then you can export that to Dropbox or email it to yourself. Wunderlist is a list-making tool. And it's kind of similar to making a grocery list, but it could be for us students to do a to-do list. anything that they can list of, it could even be used as a study guide, like if there's a topic that you have a list of things that go under that particular topic that they need to remember, they could use Wunderlist to do that. So, and it's very simple, it's just the plus sign and add them. And then you can check them off as you go along or star them as well if you needed to before you check it off. And then I think we saw iStudies. I have the light version, but it's great because it syncs with your Outlook, your calendars, and then you can also add assignments to the side. And like you talked about this morning, it can send you text messages to remind you that you have assignments coming due. And a lot of these I'm talking about from the student's perspective, but the teacher could use it as well. Any questions so far? You're awful quiet, yes, iStudies. And I will, it ends with a Z, but I will put a link to all of these, I promise, with the picture and everything. Next, I want to talk about understanding. And understanding in Bloom's is demonstrating their comprehension. And so, of course, you might need dictionary. That's one of the top apps for college students that they've listed that they like. And it's just a basic dictionary. Also, Inspiration. And a lot of the apps that I'm showing are free. Inspiration is not. Inspiration runs about $9.99. There are other mind mapping tools that are free, but most of your students are already familiar with Inspiration because most Texas schools are using that in their classrooms. And also, it's just very intuitive. And if you talk to Inspiration, sometimes they're really nice and will work with you on that. Don't put that on there. Edit that out. So you have templates in Inspiration that you can choose from, and it's a mind mapping tool, basically. And you can, your ideas, and if you don't like to use it that way, you can just draw straight off for your ideas. You can take a note based on your idea. And write, yes. Right, I don't think so. I'm not positive because Inspiration just actually came out this past year on the iPad. So I would say probably not. Then Groupboard, let's see, yay. Okay, Groupboard is another mind mapping tool, but the neat thing about Groupboard is that it can be shared with other people. And so multiple people can work on Groupboard at one time to create a mind map. So it's basically the same as Inspiration, except for it's collaborative. And you can chat while you're doing that, while you're creating your mind map. And I know this is really fast. Then New Annotate just takes in PDFs and it allows you to annotate the PDFs, whether it be with drawing if you want. It's a little lagging here. It's not, oh, there it is. You can also put in text. You can import pictures. You can create your own PDFs. So that's another understanding tool. Yes? You could have students send in their papers as a PDF and write directly. You could. Yes, you could. Did everyone hear that? You could have people, you could have your students send in their papers and then you can annotate right on top of it. And then Adobe Ideas. Adobe Ideas is $9.99, but I got it for free, and I'm going to show you at the end how to get some of these for free. You just have to be patient. I know. And so Adobe Ideas is basically a drawing tool, but it has a lot of functionality. I'm not an artist, so, you know, that's about all you get out of me. But for your artists out there, to draw ideas, to, you know, when you're in class and you're doing the water cycle and you can draw that out. Now move on to applying. And applying, there are a lot of apps here, except for I wanted to focus on these main three. Educreations, Explain Everything, and Animation HD. The first two basically do a little bit, they do basically the same thing but have a few different functions. What you can do is you can record while you're speaking, and I want to show someone how to do a math problem. So 2 plus 2 equals, well, let's see, that's 1, 2, and 2 here, so let's count them, and that would be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to get real hard math this early in the morning. Well, it's early for me anyway. Okay. And so let's see what that looks like played back. Maybe not. Oops. Done. Now let's play back. Okay, can you hear that kind of faintly? Okay, so it records audio and also records what you're drawing on the screen. And you can bring in pictures that you could annotate on top of the pictures. So there's lots that you could do with that. There's also Explain Everything is basically the same thing, but you'll notice it has a little bit more functionality on the side. It has more options. That may be a good thing for some students and some students not so much. So that's why I show both of those. Educreations is free. Explain Everything is $2.99 currently. Animation HD. Okay, I'm not going to draw one right now, but I will show you one that I drew. Again, remember, I am not an artist. Okay, so I animated. Now, someone that might be an artist could probably show a little bit more of their application skills using this app, if I can get out of it. Whoops. Such as this. I did not do this. And that's all through drawings. And you draw and you erase and you add appendages, whatever in it. That's how it comes out. But again, not the artist. Questions?
Yeah, on the education or education and Explain Everything, when you create that and save that for students to watch afterwards, what kind of format is that?
Okay. And you notice that it gives you the option of making it public, private, that sort of thing. You get links, web links, but also with, and I think it's Explain Everything, you can export it to YouTube. So there's some different output, ways that you can output that. Now we're going to talk about analyzing, and of course analyzing is breaking information into parts and finding evidence to support your ideas. So iCard Sort is a very basic card sorting tool, but it's great in that I can stack my cards, so things don't ever want to work when you project them, trust me. Okay. Well, when you're not projecting, you can pinch them and they get bigger and smaller and they will stack on top of each other, but when you project, sometimes things act a little strange. So that's a great tool for sorting and linking ideas together. Leno is similar in that you can create cards within that, but it's also shareable. And you can use your camera, you can use photos, so it has a little bit more functionality than iCard Sort does. And then iSource. Let's see. Try to turn it where you can see it. And of course it's going to lose it. iSource, and this is iSource APA. Okay, I'm not going to touch it anymore. And this will help you put your references in APA format. It is $2.99 and worth every cent of it. I know my students have trouble with this, and you know, there are websites that can help you, but this is when they're sitting wherever they are, looking at a book or looking on the computer, they can type it right into here, and it helps them to create their reference list. It does not create a whole reference list, it just shows them what the citation would be. And it also helps them with in-text citation. It gives them explanations of how to do the basics in APA. There is also one for MLA, and it's only 99 cents. Go figure. So that's a great tool for students as well as professors. Moving on to evaluating. So now you don't have to read that APA 6th edition manual anymore. Evaluating is presenting and defending judgments, and we think of like Pages for writing papers. I use Pages because I love that it goes back and forth between my Mac and my PC. I can send it to my Dropbox. Apparently I hadn't opened it on this particular one. And you have all the templates, and it's just basically typing. I have a wireless keyboard, so I'm able to, like I put my iPad over to the side, and I just type with it sitting on my lap, and my iPad's on the side, and it works great. And it is $9.99, and I think that it's worth the $9.99. I've used some of the other ones that are free, and I find that the functionality isn't as good. SideBySide does just what it says. It has 2 web browsers side by side, so that when we're talking about evaluating, students could evaluate concepts based like on Wikipedia, what they found in Wikipedia, is that really what they found on other websites, so they can compare information from different sources. So that's SideBySide. You can also take notes within that. So now you'll see I have 3 different browsers. I can have 4 different browsers, if it will open. So if that doesn't drive you crazy, then I like the side-by-side. 4 is a little much for me.
Kimberly, can you get the ads taken away by buying a professional version on that? Or is there only a free version?
I don't know. Sorry. I tend to do everything free. So the ads, I don't even notice them. Okay, it's $1.99. Thank you very much. I don't even notice them anymore. Paper Helper is another one similar to that, except for it gives you one side where you can write not just notes, but I mean it's really a full like Word document, and then a search view on one side, so you could write and research at the same time. Okay. And finally, we're going to talk about creating, which is generating new ideas, and there are tons of apps out there and a lot of content-specific apps, but I tried to pick some general ones. Keynote was what I was using earlier. You can create your PowerPoints or your keynotes within, I still use PowerPoint, so I imported my PowerPoint into that and made adjustments to it within Keynote. You can create presentations within Keynote, edit them right there. That's what, if earlier there were some apps shown that I was like, wait a minute, I was going to show those. So I was quickly editing my presentation while I sat in that presentation. And I can do that straight from my iPad. Storyboards is a storyboarding tool, just like it sounds like. You have layers, and you can import pictures. Let's see, my library. So humans, and then I could storyboard what she's saying, so I could create a whole skit, play, something like that. then Voicethread. And if you don't know about Voicethread, Voicethread is actually a website as well, and it's really primarily geared towards educators, but you can use it for all kinds of things. I want to show you very quickly, if I can. Let's see. Where? So this is a Voicethread that one of my students created, and my students love this because they are able to create on their iPad or from their computer or go back and forth. See if my audio is going to work. Okay, so this student is discussing digital citizenship. Let's see. And then I just kind of fast forwarded her. And it's actually, they did a group project, and Voicethread allows students to come in, different students, they don't have to have all the same login, they can collaborate on a Voicethread. And then, so they've explained here what digital citizenship is, ways that teach it to their students, and then I have it portable. And again, they could have created it on their iPad or on their computer. All righty. Told you it was going to be fast. And this is Keynote that I was talking about earlier, and we've already gone through all these. Okay, so looking at blooms that we just discussed, going from the lower order skills to the higher order skills, I want to give a very, again, basic example, because again, for me, this is early in the morning. So remembering, describe where the three little pigs lived. And an example of a tool that you could use with that, an app, would be PinUltimate. And that was the writing app where you could write about and describe where the three little pigs lived. Understand, you could summarize what the three little pigs story was about, and you could use inspiration, the app inspiration, to do that. Applying, construct a new theory construct a theory as to why the wolf blew down the houses. Animation HD would be great for that because not just in words, but they could actually draw their new theory. Analyze, differentiate between how the pigs reacted and how you would react to the events. So iCard sort would work really great for that because you could have two stacks of how they reacted and how you would react on the other side. Evaluate, assess whether or not you think this really happened to the three pigs, and I think Paper Helper would help you with that because you could look up some things on one side and write it on the other side, write your paper on the other side. And finally, compose a song, skit, poem, video, etc. to convey the three little pigs story in a new form. And Voicethread would be a great tool for that because they could have the visual and then they could have the audio or text of their new story. But apps aren't just for our students, and I know some of you were hearing apps that you were like, oh, I could use that for this. But these apps, again, could be used for the students, but I really see great functionality for the teacher. So Evernote, and I heard some people talking about Evernote earlier. It's great because you can actually email things to Evernote and email them straight into folders. You have to learn how to do it. It's not real hard. You get an email address, and the subject line is used to direct it to different folders. But you can save web clippings in there, and not just a link to a website, but actually the website. So Evernote is a great tool. Google Docs or Google Drive now, I keep everything in the cloud, and I can be on the go and someone asks me can you give me the instructions? And I'm like, it's in SHSU online, but nicely I just say sure, and I just attach it straight from my Google Drive and send it to the student. The same thing with Dropbox, has the same functionality. Skype, I conduct my office hours from my iPad, so I can do it anywhere. I have two small children, and we're at the ballpark or we're at gymnastics or whatever, and I tell my students, okay, it may be loud, but if you want me, I'm here, and so I can conduct my Skype office hours that way. Whiteboard, we tried to show it's not working in here because of you have to share your computer screen, But you can actually, and it's $19.99. Again, they're one that will work with educators. Delete that. And so you can take and use your iPad as your presentation tool. You can annotate straight on your iPad, and it's like you're drawing on your computer screen. So what you're projecting is your computer screen, but you're seeing the same thing on your iPad, and you can draw on top of it, just like a whiteboard or the Mimeo boards or smart boards, but it's not thousands of dollars, it's $19.99. Teacher assistant, I wish I had time to show you this. This is really neat. You can track your students' attendance. If there's an issue with them in class, it gives you the ability to import a picture or take a picture right there, write what happened, the date, the time, whether you contacted them about that. So just keeping notes on the student. Dragon dictation, it's just what it sounds like. You talk to it and it types what you say. So you could actually, on your way home in the car, write a whole manuscript just talking to your iPad. And then Jot Not Pro, I'm sorry, yes? I have not tried it. I would not think so. It would probably get confused.
You have to train it to your own voice.
Yep. But it does, I had a teacher that was a Spanish teacher, and she was using it and talking and then translating it into Spanish. So I don't know anything about that, but she was doing it and it was really cool. And then Jot Not Pro is just like having a portable scanner with you. You can take a picture of something and it makes it into a scanned image, and it's better than just taking a picture of something. And you can,
What's the name of that last?
Jot Not Pro, and it is JOTNOT, and I have the Pro version. There is a free version, but you have limitations when you use those. This one is $1.99. Dragon dictation is free. So how do you find all of these great apps in 30 seconds or less? There are apps to find apps, so something like App Shopper or Appalicious. App Shopper is amazing because you can create a wish list and it alerts you when they drop in price. And that's how I've gotten most of mine free, because I make my wish list and I just wait till it either drops to 99 cents or free. So some of the apps that I have that were $9.99, I got for nothing. Or the ones that are, $3 or $4, I got for 99 cents or nothing. So you just have to be patient, because apps roll on the amount that they charge. They pretty much don't stay the same. So if you'll watch for them. Then there's also websites, and again, I promise I'm going to give you the link to this. There are websites that tell you, based on Bloom's and your subject area, what apps might work for you. This is developed for K through 12, but it applies in higher ed as well in the different content areas. Also, Kathy Schrock has a great website, and it's called Her Guide to Everything, and she has links to iPads in the classroom and how they can be used. Again, mostly K through 12, but it applies into higher ed. Don't forget about your peers, because that's where we all learn from, learn from other people in our content area, what they're using, share ideas. And you could also follow me on Twitter, because I tweet about apps quite often, and I tend to use the hashtag #ED apps or #iPad ed. And so if you search those on Twitter, a lot of times you'll get just a whole list of different apps for different content areas, and you can just scan them to see what might work for you. And my presentation will be on SlideShare, and they will also have a link to it. I think they're going to share later. And if you have a QR code scanner, you can do that and go straight there. It's not posted yet, but it will be. Questions? That was fast. Yes, sir.
Some of these application tools like doing edit presentation or show me that I've used on iPad, I do a lot of drawing out and explaining at the same time. The styluses, I'm not a perfect stylus. Have you found one that is just awesome?
Yes. And I heard him say there's a ballpoint one. I haven't seen that yet, but I use the Pogo Sketch. It's Pogo and then Sketch. And I've used lots of styluses, and that's my favorite. It actually writes for me like a pen. You have? Really? That's my favorite. In fact, I have several of those. I keep them everywhere. Yeah, that's the one that has worked best for me. $15, I think. And you can get them at the Apple store, and they don't keep them out front. You have to ask them. They keep them in the back. I saw another hand. Question? Yes, sir.
You know the way to convert PowerPoint presentations over to Keynote and then use them on your iPad in the classroom?
That's what I'm doing right now. I actually created my presentation in PowerPoint, and then I emailed it to myself, and I'm sure there's an easier way of doing it. I just tend to do things the hard way. Emailed it to myself and then opened it through my email using Keynote, and it brought it into Keynote. It reformatted a couple of the titles, but I just was able to go in Keynote and double-click on it and change my font size, and it fixed it.
So your PowerPoints aren't so large that you can get them through email, because I can't. Mine are too large.
This one wasn't, and it had a lot of pictures in it. You can also save them into iTunes and then download it from iTunes into Keynote. So that might be an easier way to do it if it's large files. Or make smaller files. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I have the same problem. I tend to put a lot of graphics in mine. Yes, sir.
Of all of these apps, what 2 or 3 would you say, if only you have time for 2 or 3 to explore in the next week, explore these 2 or 3?
For me personally, and as a student and as a professor, I really like PinUltimate because I'm able to take handwritten notes and I don't have papers everywhere. I'm able to file them digitally, and I very much use that. I would also say, that's what I'm trying to pick. That's hard. I like them all. Educreations or Explain Everything, one of those two, because they both basically do the same thing. One has a little more functionality, so it depends on how comfortable you are with that. And I would look at either Keynote or Voicethread or both, some type of presentation tool. And I know those are very basic things that you do, but it's something we all use a lot. Yes, ma'am.
Do you require for your classes that you have iPads?
I teach completely online. So no, I don't, but I teach in a technology master's program, and so most of them do. We're looking at in the future having that be a possibility, but no, I mean, it's kind of whatever you have, use. And that's why a lot of these, I say, have a web version that they can use, or they can create the content straight from the iPad. No. No. Because there's usually a comparable tool on the web that if they don't have the tool, have an iPad, then they can use the web to do it. Yes? Oh, Bob. You can save it as pages or as a Word doc. Or as a PDF. Thank you. Any other questions? Y'all are awful quiet. That makes me nervous. Okay, well, thank you very much.